You know that feeling when you're in a room full of people, and nothing is technically wrong, but something inside you stays slightly braced. The
That was
conversations flow, the
hilarious.
laughter
I
sounds
know,
real,
right?
you can
You should
participate,
seen your
you can even
face.
enjoy it, and yet, somewhere
This is
underneath it
so
all,
nice.
there's a
Yeah,
quiet
I'm
sense
so
that you're
happy.
visiting,
Me
like you're
too. This is the
temporarily
best.
occupying a
Definitely. Let's
space
do
that
this again.
belongs to everyone else. Or maybe it's not even that dramatic. Maybe it's more subtle, a low-grade awareness that you've learned how to blend in, how to adapt your tone, your interests, your energy level depending on who you're with. You can feed almost anywhere. But belonging, that feels different and rarer. There's a certain kind of person who moves through life this way, capable, socially functional, often thoughtful, perceptive, even deeply empathetic, and yet carrying this private question, why does everywhere feel slightly foreign? Society doesn't always respond kindly to that experience. It tends to interpret it as aloofness, overthinking, introversion taken too far, or even emotional distance. Sometimes it gets labeled as being too sensitive or too independent. Other times, it's dismissed entirely because from the outside, you seem fine. But this isn't about weakness, and it isn't about a personality flaw. It's a pattern. And the psychology behind people who feel like they don't belong anywhere is far more nuanced than most people realize. When someone consistently feels out of place, the immediate assumption is that they simply haven't found their people. And sometimes that's true, but often, there's something deeper happening at the level of the nervous system and early relational learning. Research in attachment theory shows that our brains are wired in childhood to scan for safety through connection. When belonging feels stable and predictable early on, the brain relaxes into social environments. There's less monitoring, less background vigilance. But when connection has been inconsistent subtly or overtly, the brain adapts. Not dramatically, not always through obvious trauma. Sometimes it's just repeated moments of feeling slightly misunderstood, slightly
Hello?
misread, slightly outside the emotional rhythm of the people around you. Over time, the nervous system learns something quiet but powerful: stay observant. Neuroscience research on social threat perception suggests that for some people, the brain's salience network, especially regions like the anterior insula, becomes highly attuned to subtle interpersonal cues, micro-expressions, tone shifts, changes in energy. This isn't anxiety in the traditional sense, it's sensitivity. The result is someone who can read a room quickly, who adapts, who adjusts. But constant adaptation has a cost. When you're always tracking the environment, you're rarely fully inside it. You're partially outside yourself, calibrating, and that can create a persistent feeling of not fully landing anywhere. It's not that you don't belong, it's that your system is wired to monitor belonging. There's an important developmental layer here. Many people who feel this way grew up in environments where fitting in required subtle self-editing. Maybe your emotional reactions were a bit much. Maybe your interests didn't quite match the dominant culture around you. Maybe you were the mediator, the observer, the mature one. You learn it, often unconsciously. That connection required attunement to others more than expression of yourself. That adaptation works. It can make you socially intelligent. It can make you easy to be around. It can even make you successful in certain spaces. But it can also create a strange internal split. You're connected, but not fully known. Included, but not fully seen. From a behavioral perspective, this is a survival strategy. The human brain prioritizes belonging because historically, exclusion meant danger. So if belonging feels uncertain, the system doesn't give up on it, it becomes strategic about it. You refine yourself, you become versatile, you develop multiple versions of you. And eventually, you might look around and realize that you can exist almost anywhere but nowhere feels entirely like home. This isn't better or worse than other ways of being. Some people are wired for deep roots in a single group, others are wired for fluid movement across many worlds. Neither is superior, they simply come with different trade-offs. The person who easily belongs to one tribe may feel limited outside it. The person who can move between many may feel unanchored inside any. There's no right configuration. But here's the paradox that often goes unspoken: the same sensitivity that makes you feel like you don't belong is often what allows you to understand people on a profound level. Because you've spent years watching, you've noticed the subtle shifts, the unspoken dynamics, that emotional undercurrents in a conversation that others glide past. That kind of awareness builds depth, it builds nuance, it builds a capacity for empathy that isn't surface level. At the same time, it can create exhaustion when belonging feels like something you manage rather than something you rest in. Social spaces require energy, even positive ones. There's also a quiet strength in being the person who doesn't fully fuse with one identity. You're less likely to adopt beliefs unexamined, less likely to disappear entirely into groupthink. There's independence there, perspective, but independence can feel lonely when what you're actually craving is resonance. And that longing desire not just to fit, but to be recognized without translation is deeply human. If you felt like you don't belong anywhere, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're too different. It doesn't mean there's a missing piece inside you. It may simply mean your nervous system learned to prioritize observation over immersion, adaptation over assumption, awareness over ease. That makes sense, given certain experiences. And the fact that you can see this pattern at all suggests something important. You're reflective. You're capable of stepping outside yourself and noticing the architecture of your own experience. Belonging, for someone like you, may not arrive as a sudden click. It may feel gradual, layered, built through moments where you risk staying a little more visible than your system is used to. Not forced, not dramatic, just incremental. And even before that, there's value in understanding that this feeling has logic. It has history. It has purpose. You are not the only one who moves through the world this way, quietly translating yourself. There's more to explore about how this pattern shapes your relationships, your ambitions, even the way you experience solitude. Because often, the people who feel like they don't belong anywhere also carry a very specific relationship with being alone. If this felt familiar, that next layer might feel familiar too. Thank you so much for watching my very first video. It truly means a lot to me that you're here. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like.